This is it. The intro to this soaking wet palate, as Chris calls it, because this episode is juicy. And we talk about a number of things. We end on a really macabre note, like very sad, horrible bosses.
Well, you're starting out with that?
Yeah.
They're not going to listen to this episode. That was at the end. There's a lot of great stuff. We talk about sparkling. We really dive into it. Champagne, Prosecco. I mean, we go into all the
production methods, regulations, levels of sugar, all that stuff.
Yeah, thug passion.
Commie-sommies, how they think we got a new term for
new term.
Yeah, new term for the sums.
It's not canceled yet, so go out there and use it.
It's just a classification of a certain type. We also talked a little bit about the F1 race and the experience there, and prostitution. All the
juggalos. Do you believe in the path of least resistance?
I don't like the path of least resistance, but I know that nature likes it.
But do you feel sometimes you need to follow that path?
No.
What's up with your shirt, dude?
I love it. This was the path.
That's what I'm saying. The path. This was the path. First of all,
happy wife, happy life.
I love it.
What's up with the rhymes
today?
There's
I was looking at like four Rachels right now, just looking at me.
That's it.
And a smile.
This is like,
I love it.
This is like bear repellent for women. This like actually awesome. I don't know. It might actually attract them. They're like, oh, he's safe. He's married. But like, I mean, but she got me this shirt. So like, this is my Hawaiian shirt. So if I wear this out like on my own, she feels confident that I'm not going to stray.
For those that aren't watching on video and just listening, can we kind of describe this shirt?
Yeah. So my wife Rachel, lovely woman, she got me this awesome Hawaiian shirt. It's got green palm fronds on it.
Yeah.
And hiding behind a bunch of these palm fronds is a picture of her beautiful face. And so when you look at it, it looks like it could just be a design element, but you know, overall it's more of like, you know, she's marking me. Like it's like wearing a collar of some sort. It's like I own you. And I'm down with that.
I love it.
So that is the path of least resistance.
Hell yeah.
Like that's me just being like, you know what? I'm gonna make her happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Now I need to get her a matching dress.
That's
kind of like Kenny Flower shit.
Yeah.
But like do a matching dress with like a picture of me.
Oh, I thought it would just be her pictures too. Just like, you know, you want to put your face on that?
Being that she's a redhead, I could just be like, get her a shirt that just says, like, give her a number of like, you know, I'm a ginger, I steal souls, and then like have like I've stolen this many souls. You know the story, right? Is that gingers, redheads, whatever you want to call them, they also happen to generally be fair skinned and have freckles. And it is said, this is, I don't know, in some sort of mythology, maybe it's true, that every one of those freckles is one of the souls that they have stolen.
See, I did not.
You didn't know that?
I did not hear that.
Yeah, and Rachel is definitely, if you go by that logic, she's stolen a lot of souls.
You know,
she's gonna fucking hate me for this podcast.
Do it, man. It starts out very lovely and sweet. You're wearing this beautiful shirt with your beautiful wife on it, and then you got to get into the stealing of souls.
There's always something, man. It's like something to talk about, but also this is meant to inform and educate people so that they are aware of what's out there in the wild. I mean, you don't know when you come across, like if you walked up on like Bill Burr, like the comedian, and just saw him by the way in Vegas, fucking awesome. That guy's great.
Oh man, I would like to see him.
But dude, you could look at him and you're like, that guy definitely steals souls. Like he's got a collection in his fucking closet, I bet.
He's awesome though.
He's awesome. Like, yeah.
I like his thoughts. We've mentioned it before on population.
Oh God, yeah. He's got a.
So I mean, you talk about like stealing souls, but I think
he's got a great
like,
podcast.
We need to cut the amount of souls that are on Earth. I feel like that's his thought process, right?
That's it. He'd have like no white skin showing if he did that. It'd just be like freckles all over. No, so I will just as a side note.
Do you have matching underwear?
Not on right now, no.
Okay.
I mean, I have underwear on, but not matching underwear.
Are you wearing pants right now?
I'm wearing pants. Yeah.
If you're listening and you can't see, Joe is not. Dude, I don't think he's wearing pants.
I've got socks, underwear, shirts with Rachel's face on them.
Yeah. but different, but not all like this.
No, this is the only Hawaiian shirt I've got. Yeah,
that's great. I like it.
Yeah, it's like her favorite gift to give me over the holidays. It's like here's another thing with a picture of me on it.
This is the best collaboration.
There we go. If he wants to see it, I'll just hold it up. There you go.
We'll get like a zoom in on that.
Where are we going with that? Oh, but I wanted to go Bill Burr real quick because he does have a great podcast, awesome stand-up. So I saw him. I've seen him twice now. I saw him in SAC like 2 years ago, and then we happened to be in Vegas for Formula One, and we're like driving. We see a sign. It's like Bill Burr tonight. We're like, no shit. Well, he's apparently a big F1 fan, and so he just like knocked out a show in between the qualifiers. Because like they had 2 qualifying rounds, and so he goes and does a show, and I think it goes back to the race, which is kind of what we did too. So it's like perfect timing. It's like just you fill that void of a couple hours, and but I was like, he'll probably do some stuff that's like regular content that he's done in the past. Dude, everything was fresh, everything was like current events, what's going on now, and the dude's just got a brain on him and a great sense of humor and good wit. Like he's hilarious. So
I feel like it really shows his talent when you see how funny he is in all those different types of environment on stand-up, if he's doing film, like even his like pieces that he does, like, and then also podcasts, like everywhere, you know. And that's not like with all comedians. I feel like some people, and also I think he's good with even crowd work, you know.
Oh yeah.
But some people are really specialized in certain ththings, but they can be in other environments and not really like shine that the way he does.
So let's talk about stand-up comedy real quick because I used to not be into it.
Yeah.
And so
wait, you weren't into it?
I wasn't into it until like Rachel like got me into it. Her family like loves stand-up. So we started watching it. But I really got into it when COVID happened. And we were doing all these live streams because like, I mean, half of our business was in the restaurants and those things shut down for months. And so like, we're like, holy shit, what do we do? And we ended up like got a great team, the same team here in the podcast studio. And so we started doing all these live streams. We'd collaborate with restaurants. They'd do wine dinners. And you're looking in like 100 people's homes. They've got their computer set up. And you're walking them through the wines and the food and whatever else. And like we did a bunch of these every week, right?
Yeah.
And so I realized that nobody gave a shit about the details of the wine. They wanted entertainment. That's what they're looking for. So I was like, how can I do this better? And this is something for like everybody out there. This will be in the entrepreneur segment of this show. But everybody out there, if like you want to better yourself and be better at delivery, whatever it is, like I'm not saying watch stand-up comedy, but for me, that was the way that I got better. So I started watching these guys, and I'd watch them over and over, and like just be like, how do they bring things back around at the end? How do they inject so much comedy? How do they bring somebody down a path so far of a serious story, and then the punchline hits, and it's just absolutely hilarious. And so I started like doing that. I'm no comedian, but I know that I brought my entertainment value up during that time, and we became much more successful through COVID and through our podcast or through our live streams, whatever else during that time. So that was like something I thought was really cool, just like taking something from a totally foreign or business and applying it to ours in that moment. And that's something that's carried forward. Now, when I do like a wine dinner, it's like I have to preface it much like comedians do. Like all of them have the same spiel now. They get up and they're like, whatever happened to like blah, 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 cancel culture and all that shit. And they all have their own individual style of joke that they make about like, go ahead and try to cancel me or, you know, if, you know, that sort of thing. So now I get up and I'm like, look, if you're easily offended, we have a special room for you. It's right next to the exit sign. You're welcome to go out there right now because I'm going to say some shit during this wine presentation that is a little bit off key, right?
Yeah.
Generally speaking, it's all positive remarks. Sometimes I get people that are offended, and those people should not come to my wine dinners.
Well, I think the best comedians, in my opinion, will be polarizing.
They should be.
You know?
Yeah.
And I actually grew up on stand-up comedy, you know, with Eddie Murphy, Chris Rock, Martin Lawrence.
Yeah.
I really like You So Crazy, you know what I mean? And, you know, I think that was it, like growing up being kind of, it was also like a way of survival of the fittest, you know? I was like small kid, man. I had to like try something, dude. I had to
That's
like
right.
spit a crap and be funny.
Yeah. You had to be funny if you wanted to get any action.
I was going to say.
or not get in a fight. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, you didn't really get action at all when you were growing up, dude. You were. I remember when you hit puberty at like 19. I was like,
I was a late bloomer. Thanks, Joe.
Yeah.
I think you just started a routine right now. You're like in the middle of you got to stand up.
So
are you gonna bring it back around? Like,
I am gonna bring it back around.
I hope you do.
You wait
Okay,
till right to the end of this podcast. I'll bring it back around.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's good to know. But I was gonna say one more thing is that there's been a lot of comedians that have been really finding their ground on social media, and that has got them specials.
Yeah.
And one of which being Matt Rife.
Did I tell you that? Yeah, I told you, I was going to see him.
Really?
At the Luther Burbank Center of the Arts.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, and he's hilarious, and that dude is a master at crowd work.
That's the thing. Well, that's what I was saying is like the crowd work is like that's real technique. I mean, I think, but that's like a whole different thing because that's what people are saying actually on social media right now. So he just has Netflix special, and they was getting like some backlash about that. His special.
He made a comment about domestic violence, and that's what he led with, was talking about, he's like, it's been a fucking week for me. I got canceled a week ago. I was like, dude, you didn't get canceled. That was free publicity. You were all over the place. Now he's so goddamn popular. He's never going to go back to a small venue like that. That dude's going to be, and look at how goddamn good looking he is.
Dude.
For anybody that can see, this dude is like a male model, and he's hilarious. He has fangirls there, like 75% of the crowd, maybe even more, were girls like dressed to the nines and doing like a meet and greet after. Like it was easy to get out of the parking lot because there was a line of every girl that was there wanting to go meet Matt Rife.
Yeah.
He's got like he's just hitting his like, hockey stick growth right now. He's going to become monstrous.
We talked about this too before with like when you put out content, right? It's almost, or I guess it could go back to like even 50 Cent, let the haters hate, watch the money pile up. Like, you know what I mean? Where it's, they're gonna hate, but that's what happened, right? Kind of like snowballed, where then he did his apology, where it was like a link to those helmets.
And there were girls wearing helmets.
Oh my goodness!
Like they're going there, like I want to be his crowd work, and then maybe he'll work on me later that night. I don't know, like that's. Oh,
you mean they were wearing those helmets?
They just would wear a fucking bicycle helmet.
Oh,
just to be funny.
Oh, just to be funny.
Because so if for anybody that doesn't know what this guy did, so he made a joke about domestic violence.
Yes.
The joke was something to the effect of he was getting service at a restaurant and the waitress had a black eye.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And he said something like, yeah, they should like put her like back in the kitchen or something so that like she's not, the face of this restaurant.
Yeah.
And then his comment was like, well, if she was good in the kitchen, she probably wouldn't have a black eye. And so he got they pushed on canceling him for that. And then he did this public apology, and his apology was I want to apologize. If you want to watch the video, click this link, and it was a link to helmets for special needs people.
Man,
dude, the balls on that guy, like,
no, dude, and then, like, well, that's the thing with comedy, right? It's we've been hearing that a lot too with the comedians. They're getting from getting attacked on stage, but then also just kind of this cancel culture, and them wanting to like kind of protect this free will to be able to include everybody.
Yeah.
And while making humor, right?
It's an art.
Include everybody.
Yeah.
And them in their community. There's comedians from all walks of life.
Yeah.
And all different things. So, but
the ones that do well are the ones that are controversial.
Well, yeah.
And you don't need to listen. If you don't like it, you don't need to listen. That's like the beauty of our world, right?
Yeah.
So why do people keep on coming out and canceling this? Like comedy, I hate to say it because we're in such a shitty place in our culture, in our country here in the U.S. Like what the fuck is going on? When is this madness going to stop? Because, well, right now I think that comedy is the last bastion of free speech. And it's able to do that through satire, and satire is like it was one of the most early forms of comedy, right? It's how do you make fun of something that is could be political, could be whatever, but maybe not a popular opinion, maybe a popular opinion, but you can't say it because maybe you live in a country that doesn't allow free speech, that sort of thing. So satire became like a big part of how do you get the message out there of the other part of the population, the other, another another culture or whatever it might be, and they've been able to maintain it. And I appreciate the comedians that are doing it, like the guys that are out there and girls that are out there that are like, I don't care, I'm gonna go ahead and say it how I want to say it, and I'll make it funny, and they do, and like they'll oftentimes balance it out. Like,
Yeah.
I got no dog in the hunt. I hate both of our presidential options, like whatever, like that kind of stuff, and they'll do a good job of balancing those two things. But they'll bring like half the crowd down the road of like they're all pro Biden, and he's talking shit about Trump, and then he's like, but hold on, and then he'll start talking shit about Biden,
Yeah.
and all the Biden supporters are like, what the fuck, and all the Trump supporters are like, hell yeah, and it's like, what the? It's like
It's just pulling on
it's like this balance, and everybody leaves the room like, that was funny. I was a little offended, but then he got back at the other guy, and like it's just dumb.
Yeah. Well, I think this is a good time to say welcome to Go With Your Palate.
Oh yeah, shit. Welcome to Go With Your Palate. This is Chris, Fat Mario Rubio,
Yo.
co-host along with me, Joe Wagner. Skinny Joe is what they call me.
Skinny Joe. That's
Skinny
what they
Joe.
call him.
Well, you got Sleepy Joe in the White House. You got Skinny Joe, right?
I like Skinny Joe. Okay.
So, yeah,
Mario, Skinny Joe.
Don't start with that shit.
Wait,
No.
you said you just created it.
I know that was a bad move on my part.
Well, I don't know though. I mean, it's out there now. I can already see the comments coming in. Skinny Joe.
All right, so we go.
All right.
This is Go With Your Palate. We talk about wine.
Do we?
We're
Entrepreneurship, I guess.
yeah, we did talk about entrepreneurship a little bit,
We got one entrepreneur here.
and whatever the fuck else. Really, that's.
we know we got one here. I just am like, hey, what's up? I'm like a cat burglar, like ready to do a
You
heist
do
right now.
look like
yeah?
a cat burglar.
I was waiting for like, I was hoping that
I've already talked shit about your beanies like so much. It's
I know.
tiring. I mean,
I
like,
heard those people
you
were like,
already
make fun of his mustache more. Did you?
you
not?
already know you look like a condom, like is on your head.
What?
Yeah.
It's just a beanie, bro. What kind of
Instead
condoms
of
do you use?
instead of
though?
doing the
This is just
fold
like,
over, you should do the
Well,
roll
this is
up,
like-
so it looks like it's like just when you're just
Just
starting to
wait.
get over the head.
This is. I could get more Bato Loco here.
That is.
I want to get more.
That's a
to
better
my hair.
look. You need those square black glasses now too.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, cool.
So welcome to Go With Your Palate.
But go with the whatever the fuck else.
Oh, and whatever the fuck else. Yeah, we've been talking a little bit about whatever the fuck else.
Yeah.
But it does kind of roll into the, entrepreneurship. Challenge yourself, try new things, bring other art forms of other industries into
Yeah,
yours,
there's
like
a
that sort of thing.
There's a lot of like cool things going on.
How do you
which-
differentiate?
Well, I knew we were going to talk about sparkling today, but
Yeah.
But hey, if you thought we were about to jump into wine, you're like, finally. I'm going to throw in one more thing because you mentioned it, but I think it's relevant. You were just at that F1 event,
Oh, yeah.
and so just like really quick for people that weren't there, may not have much experience with it. Like I'm not in the racing world of that. I don't follow it that much. Were you like a huge fan of F1 or
Not
right
a huge
there?
fan, but I do
was
enjoy it. Went with a couple people that are huge fans, so I had a cool experience. We were like in this cool section where they had like 3 stories, so you go up high and watch the track, or go down to like track level. And the hospitality there was like phenomenal. The transformation of that city was like hard to
Yeah.
believe. I know it's very controversial. I gotta say that they did a really good job. The only shitty part was the amount of traffic. But like,
Oh, dude.
I mean, like what would take 5 minutes
Yeah.
from A to B took 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And we just ended up starting to walk everywhere.
Sometimes it's just the best way to do it there.
Just a
If
scene.
you're like on this strip.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's such a scene though. Like I'd highly recommend it for people to go. And it's like any event. It's their first year. They're gonna get better. It'll get more organized. They'll figure out how to move people through much faster and all that. The people watching,
Yeah.
hands down, like best I've ever seen. Like it was.
F1 brings
some people go
brings
all
the best
out.
people watching.
Oh, there's so much shit to. So you could just sit
what-
there.
Is there just something like
Dude,
with that you saw that you were like, whoa?
Look, my wife was with me.
Oh, I could know this is
No,
gonna
I
be
gotta,
good.
I gotta, I'll
I
I
know
gotta
this is
preface
gonna be
it.
good when it starts off like this. My wife was with me.
And-
Art smiling.
So,
He's
so
ready.
we're sitting there like at the lobby bar one night. We
Mm-hmm.
get back to the hotel, and it's like 1 a.m. They did the race in the middle of the night, which was really cool. So like, I mean, everything was dark when they even started doing their practice rounds, their qualifiers, and the race itself.
Yeah.
The race started at 10 p.m. So we're back at the lobby bar, and we're just sitting there like right on the outer edge, and there are just working girls like nonstop. Like, did they just ship them in from all over the world? Like,
What hotel was that, Joe? What was that? Can you,
I'm not. No, I can't put a plug in for any hotels. So
that would be a plug.
So we're watching, like, we're down there for like an hour or so. And we're like, literally, like, you'd see these girls go up with a dude, come down, go back up with another dude, come down, like 3 times in an hour. I'm like, they are making some bank. I don't even know what they're charging, but they're hustling. So yeah, some of the entertainment value.
Some of the entertainment value on screen that you can find at F1, I guess, besides just racing.
But going back to the event itself, like, highly
Thank
recommend
you for
it.
going back to the
Dude, you've never seen, like, until you see it in real life, those cars, the sound, the speed.
Yeah.
There's like a level of insanity that you have to be going 210 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And not knowing what's around that next curve. Like, they are flying. It's really something to see.
Do you think a gigolo is a bad term now?
Everything turns
juggalo? What about if you did a juggalo?
But everything turns into a bad term. Give me one term that, like, start.
Eventually, it's going to happen. But,
yeah.
But I was going to say, like, what about because at the F1, I mean, did you also see, like, the males were out too doing their thing?
I don't
juggalos?
I don't have gigolo dar.
Were there juggalos? Was there ICP
juggalos.
out there? Did you see the clown faces? That would be funny if you were it just happened to be like this weird culture thing that you never expected, that it just happens to be a lot of juggalos at F1. They're just like big fans.
Yeah.
They like cars and they like
there's lonely ladies out there.
Clowns and the rap as I get into something great, let's go into sparkling. Should we talk about wine?
We're going to talk about sparkling, but I do want to talk about Belle Glos real quick, because this is a cool story.
Oh, good. Okay. Thank you. Okay. We're talking about wine.
So we are talking about wine, kind of.
But tune in now.
But this is just like so one of the team leaders, his name is Gunther, and he works. So he's like the lead guy for Haas Racing.
Yeah.
And they're actually the only American company, right?
Yeah.
So they're the only American F1 company. They're not like sponsored by like a major car company or anything like that. So pretty independent, and they're kind of trying to climb up the ladder. I mean, I don't think they have the technology of maybe what like Ferrari and McLaren does and whatever else, but they seem to be doing good. And so one of the guys that works here at Copper Cane, he runs our production, and he's coming to F1 with us. And so he happened to be coming back from, we're getting a new machine made over in Europe. So he was over there like checking it out as it's being built. As he's coming back, whatever airport in Europe he was at, he sees this guy Gunther. And so he walks over to him and he's like,
"Think you are?"
He's like, I recognize you. And he's like, "Well, who do you think I am?" Something like that. He's like, "Gunther, like, you're from Haas Racing." And he goes, "Yeah, that's me." And so they just start talking. Turns out, like, he knows wine, knows Belle Glos. So they become like pen pals, texting back and forth. And he's like, "Well, I'm going to be going to the F1 race in Vegas. Yeah. Can I send you some wine?" So, like, they're doing events and shit. We're sending them Belle Glos. Yeah. Like, it's all the right crowd. So Del Tuva, that's the guy in production.
Yeah, the main man.
The day of the race, Gunther invites him down to the pits. And he stays down in the pits in their shop the entire race, even prior to the race. Like dream experience for him. And now we're, but also Belle Glos is being poured. I'm like, dude, this is awesome. This is like.
But that started out at like an airport. That's kind of cool. It was very like genuine.
Yeah.
And they just started talking, and then they actually became friends.
Well, this is cool. Actually something that we talked about, like doing a collaboration with Haas Racing.
Yeah.
Because their logo is red. It's not exactly our color red, but it's like we could adjust and make our red that color red and do some like crazy shit like collaboration between Belle Glos and Haas.
Nice, yeah.
It rhymes too. Another rhyme. I got a new rhyme for you. I'll tell you in a minute. But yeah. Anyways, that was just a cool story.
That's a really cool story. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that, because that's awesome.
So let's get into sparkling.
Okay,
so all right. I'm going to jump in and classify these as kind of the 3 main ways of sparkling production, because I think a lot of people don't know about this, and it's actually a really fun thing to learn about. So I'd say, well, this is besides like where you inject CO2 into the wine, like that's garbage. That's not even sparkling. That's like your Cooks and Andre and whatever else. Like that's just.
We did have a segment when you did a funny video where you did like a stitch of someone using the sparkling machine.
Oh, that's right. That doesn't work, by the way.
They put like just wine in the bottle,
Yeah.
and then they injected the CO2.
They use, yeah.
And you were like, "Can you just?"
They
That
use the
was
soda
hilarious because this goes back to the whole haters conversation, but like,
Oh,
that
yeah.
got so much attention when you said that's how champagne was made.
Dude, I forgot about that.
Maybe we could throw that.
If Art can find that, or that
we'll
was
throw
a
it.
that was a good one, because that was, so somebody was using like putting wine in a soda stream, and I was
Soda
like,
stream,
yep,
that
this
was
is definitely how champagne is made, 100%, whatever it was. And
Yeah,
dude,
yeah.
the Psalms came out of the woodwork on that one. They were like, I was like, man, that was actually one of the first moments where I was like, I really enjoy trolling these people. Like, this is fun. Like, your
Yeah.
comments, they make me feel good. It makes me feel like I'm doing a good job trolling you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's garbage, though.
So that's garbage.
It
That's
was
not
a
even,
joke.
That's not even sparkling
joke.
production.
He jokes. He's a jokester.
So, okay, so I'm going to start off with Charmat.
Yes, please.
So Charmat is a method of producing sparkling that's more in a bulk way. So you actually ferment the wine first. So let's say you pick Chardonnay, right? So typically you use Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, Pinot Meunier. Those are kind of the varieties that typically are used. But you can make sparkling out of anything, really. So you pick it early, like 18 bricks, somewhere in there. So you're gonna have low alcohol. You do your primary fermentation, make this really high acid still wine, and then you put that into a pressurized tank, and then into a tank that can handle pressure, I should say, and then you add a certain amount of sugar, or it could be grape juice or whatever, but typically sugar and yeast, and you do your secondary fermentation. Then you slam the cooling on that after that's done. So you've maintained all that pressure, right? All that CO2 is still dissolved in the wine, or it's still in solution. So that's where you're getting the pressure. That's where you're getting the bubbles. So you chill it down like freezing, like 32, 33, like right there, because it's got a little alcohol, so you can actually chill it down. It'll still move if you're even at 32, and then you bottle it, and you put your cork on, the cage on, the whole thing, right? So you get sparkling. It's not the highest end level of production, but it does produce a good wine. Most Proseccos are Charmat Method, which I think a lot of people don't know. I mean, I've had some really great Proseccos. I've had some really good Charmat wines. So it really just depends on what it is you're wanting to go for. And, you can do your dosage if you want, or you don't need to do a dosage with Charmat, but that's when you add your additions of, it could be some sweetener, some brandy, some grape juice, that sort of thing, to the sparkling wine just before bottling. So that's Charmat, which we have produced a Charmat Method wine in the past, really just to be kind of an everyday by the glass option. And that was Stiora, and we've stopped producing that. And I'll get into what we're producing now, which is Méthode Champenoise, what we call traditional method. And that is what was really developed, or I think more perfected, I think, by Madame Clicquot, from the woman who's behind Veuve Clicquot. And so she's credited with that, and it's a great story if you've never heard it. Like, it's a really cool story about how she really helped revolutionize champagne. It's another thing. Sparkling wine and champagne are somewhat different. You can call champagne sparkling wine, but you can't call sparkling wine from anywhere outside of Champagne, right? So it's more regional. There are some grandfathered in uses of that people still use.
I was gonna say too, I felt like this was earlier, maybe like in our younger years, but I felt like that was, especially if you got into like the city, people would say, oh, grab a bottle of champagne or something.
Yeah.
Sometimes they would be saying that almost like they want a sparkling.
Dude, I still say it.
You know what I mean? And I was
Yeah.
like, and I think that sometimes, and we've discussed this too, that it wasn't until I really got out here and explored the world where you kind of would find the pretentiousness of wine, and the people. Now look, it is correct. Like what you just said is eloquent, and it's what it is.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when you're just with your friends hanging, and someone's like, grab a ball of champs, I feel like, do you think it's sometimes almost like Kleenex or one of these other things that like become a popular word?
Yeah.
But it's actually a popular word for all types of that product.
Well, like champagne is a brand in itself, but then there's brands of champagne, right? So
exactly.
But absolutely, and I still think to this day, people are like, "Pop the champagne!" Like, it could be, Corbel from here in California, right?
But it just sounds cooler too.
It does.
Say pop the sparkling
Yeah,
wine. Pop the sparkling wine. People say pop the champs, dude.
Did 50
right?
Cent ever come out and be like, pop that sparkling wine? No.
I also, but I don't know.
Counting money, drinking sparkling wine out the bottle.
I don't know if he was popping Corbello. I think, but yes, okay. But thanks for clarifying that, because that's what I like about you too. Is that, like you said, you still can say it too,
I still
and you're
say
not
all the
gonna
time.
be like, hey,
Yeah.
just so you know.
It's like, hey, grab the champagne, and then like Rachel will grab a bottle of Schrammsberg or something. I'm like, whatever, still fucking good. It's
Yeah, good.
So yeah,
Don't
I
say
do
anything.
agree. The Kleenex analogy is good.
I just looked at her right now. I said, give
That's
it
it.
a thumbs up. I can see her poking out of your
Good
pocket.
job.
Sorry.
Good
There it is.
All right, so Méthode Champenoise, or traditional method, is a method where you do your first fermentation, your primary fermentation. Same thing. You're making just a still wine, but then you put it into a bottle, and with that, you're going to again do your secondary fermentation to capture that carbon dioxide. So you're going to add an amount of sugar, yeast, and typically some bentonite to help with settling at the when you begin your riddling process, all that. So for clarification, I guess, what it really is. So you do that. You seal it off, typically with like a crown cap, like a typical soda like cap is what they use now. And then you put that into tirage. You let that age for however long. People do it for 2 years. People do it for 10 years. And then you begin the process. You're like, okay, it's ready to get its final touches. Let's call that. So you're going to do the dosage and put your cork on it. So riddling is going to be the next process where they pull it out of the cellar where it's been aging, which is in tirage. It's aging on its lees. It's aging on those dead yeast cells and bentonite. And then they start horizontal, the bottles, and then slowly move up to a higher angle. And they're twisting just a little bit each time. And then all of those solids that were laying at the bottom, the belly of that bottle, slowly move down to the top of the bottle cap, or the top of the bottle under the bottle cap. Once it's ready to go, they now use like typically a liquid nitrogen bath, and they'll freeze that little neck. And then they'll pop that out, and you're going to have some loss of liquid. Now, once you pop that out, you've gotten rid of all your solids in there, which is something because number one, you like it gets really foamy if you have solids in sparkling, and it's just not pleasant. So then you want to refill that space. You could go very traditional. This is what we're doing. What I like to do. You just take that, top up with the exact same sparkling that you made, and that's zero dosage. That's my preference. So you don't have any additional sugar. It's very brisk, very bright, very minerally. It is sure to give you heartburn, but like I love it. It's like I think it's such a beautiful expression of sparkling and where it's from, because dosage can create a very consistent style. Dosage is when you add that bit of whatever your mix is, right? So it could be grape juice, brandy, sugar, that sort of thing, and so that's more of like a style driver. So you're going to say, well, whatever. If I've lost 30 mLs from disgorging when we're taking that little plug out of that yeast and bentonite. So we're going to refill that space, and with that, we're going to be able to fine tune it to just what we want it to taste like. So your main brands out there do this like more commonly because it allows you to create a very consistent style every year, and that's why vintage champagne is more of the higher tier, and the everyday champagne never has a vintage, right? So think of like Veuve, like the regular just Veuve label, right? Great go-to. You could rely upon it all the time. It doesn't have a vintage. Now, they do have vintage champagnes under the Veuve label that are going to be different classifications, different price points, all that. And they're going to be much typically lower in their level of residual sugar or dosage. So it just depends on the style you're going for. I hope this isn't too confusing for everybody out there.
No, it's good. That's why I want
Because-
to go through the detailing, and we brought this up before. So with the riddling process, so just as a kind of recap on it, but
and people still
all this
do it
turning-
like this.
It's on the screen right now. If you're not listening, we're actually watching. It's like a riddler, master riddler, going through the whole process, and it's really cool how they can do this because we've talked about it before. They're getting this certain angle every time they're going through, and you can go ahead and explain it, but. They're twisting.
Well, yeah, and so now they actually have riddling racks, right? So like there are these automated systems that once it's ready to go. I know the
it's
beauty.
like machines replace.
I know the beauty and the
I
romance
corrected
of
myself,
this.
and I was like a Riddler, and I was like Master Riddler, because I've always been so cool to watch those guys in action.
Yeah,
like I've been to Schramsberg and just like watch their Master Riddler.
Well, they still got that guy up there, and he's still like, and dude, he's so fast.
Oh, he's awesome. It's like the technique, but like you said, sorry, there's now obviously.
So this is there's a video up of a riddling rack, and so it does the same thing over a period of a month or whatever it is. I think it's usually about a month. Anyway, so that's how. Oh, and then once you do your dosage or you fill with whatever the same wine is, then you end up with being ready to be corked and put the cage on. So you hold that pressure in there, and then label it, do all that, and then it's ready to be sold.
Yeah.
So that's the most common, kind of traditional way of producing sparkling. And there, it's an art form. It's beautiful, and it became like the standard. When you think of champagne, you think of Méthode Champenoise. That is the birthplace of it, after all. But there's another classification that I really like, and it's called Pétillant Naturel.
Yeah. Oh,
I
like the accent.
Pétillant Naturel.
Pétillant?
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 Was it Pepe Le Pew? So what the this is the term I was going to throw out there.
Oh, great. Here we go.
Kami-sami.
Do we get lights for
it's
that?
It's a mix of a communist and a sommelier. Kami-sami. So the Kami-samis, they really like Pétillant. And this is something that they and I can agree upon.
Wait.
Surprisingly, I love Pétillant. Pétillant is just the shortened version of Pétillant Naturel.
What was the last part of the term?
Kami-sami?
Sami?
Like communist sommelier.
I just wanted you to say
like in other words, because I've been trying to find,
I don't know why.
I've been trying to find a term for them, because there are great sommeliers out there, but then there are the ones who are just militant and they're dictators about it.
Yeah.
You drink what I tell you to drink, and blah 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 blah. It's like, thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
So
go with your palate. That's okay.
So Kami-sami is my new thing. So whenever I refer to those difficult psalms,
yes,
Kami-sami. Okay. and it's kind of cute. Like I feel like people are like, oh my god, you're a Kami-sami. So
it's adorable. It's adorable.
That's like what about Juggalo is a cute name.
Well, I feel if you said Kami-sami like in a restaurant, and then you just heard this, aww. That's what I picture.
So the Pétillant, as we call it, is a minimal intervention way of producing sparkling wine. And we actually produced them. So this is one of the bottles. So this was from Arroyo Seco, Chardonnay, 100%. And so what the whole experiment was with this when we started it, and we're continuing to do this, was that actually let me start with saying what Pétillant Naturel is.
Yeah,
so you're basically using only the naturally occurring sugars to create the pressure in the bottle. So think of it like a dirty beer, or like a what do you call a sour beer. You're going to have kind of like some of those characters that are really kind of like can be off-putting, can be like really spicy, can be very just sour, almost like almost like acetic, like vinegar.
Mm-hmm.
So we really wanted to focus on making sure we minimize that, and so really it was all about being very, very clean in the process, right? So what you do is you're fermenting in whatever vessel. So call it a tank, right? Stainless steel tank. You're running your primary fermentation. Once you get down to a certain a level of sugar remaining, you want to use that sugar to be what creates that CO2 when you put it in the bottle. So it's kind of like you're watching, and you say like, okay, we're at whatever, 2.5 bricks left. Drop it in bottle, seal that bottle off, let the primary fermentation finish, and it's done. Now you might have some sediment in there, some lees, because when it's fermenting, there's some shit that's like floating around, right? So you don't have the opportunity to disgorge or get the solids out of it, right? So you get what you get, and the pressure usually will get all the way up to like I think it's 5 bar somewhere in there, like where the yeast actually stop. They pretty much die off, and that's about where you want sparkling to be anyway. So We had a ton of fun making this. It is a geeky style of wine, but it's something that I think turned out really good. So we're still selling this right now. But that's Pétillant, and it is like
and one fermentation compared to the others that you're doing too.
Yep. One fermentation, only naturally occurring sugars, no dosage. Right, you're not doing any additions. This is like a very pure style. You're generally not going to see any oak on these. But they also age well. So like this is our release right now is 2016 vintage. I love aged sparkling wine and champagne. Like for me, top 3 of all wines for aging.
Top 3, and for varietals, it seems that you like Chardonnay and Pinot.
Yeah,
for doing sparkling.
Yeah, I mean, there's some Pinot Meunier does fine, but it's like, I mean, I think that's just kind of a. What was the reason for that? I don't know. Like Pinot, you're like Pinot. Just go with Chardonnay and Pinot. That's like what everybody does in California, really. I mean, that's if you're making like a traditional style. Some people like they'll take fucking French Colombard and make sparkling. If you don't have like a varietal breakdown,
yeah,
it could be. Like, there's a lot of people use table grapes, honestly.
Yeah.
For the lower tier stuff.
Okay. For, like...
I'm not going to mention any names. But, no, for the lower tier stuff, it's generally just, yeah.
Dodged.
Yeah.
It's all champagne.
It's... But that's the breakdown of those, what I'd consider, like, the 3 most common methodologies. And then the 4th being, like, not even... should be... not considered sparkling wine where you're just putting CO2 in the wine. But now let's talk a little bit about the style, right? So a big part of the style is the level of residual sugar. And so when people look at a label, if you look at 0 dosage, that's going to mean there was no added sugar. Like you're just replacing that headspace with the wine, right?
Mm-hmm.
So whether it was Méthode Champenoise or whatever. But then you have what I just jump into like extra brut. Extra brut has to be no more than 6 grams per liter of sugar, which is that's a very low level of sugar, especially for a sparkling wine. But you say 6 grams and people are like, that seems like a lot. Like, no, that's like, you got a lot of red wines out there that are 6 grams per liter. And then you got brut itself. That's going to be 12 grams per liter or less. I believe that those two actually have overlap. So, like, if you are at 5 grams, but you want to call it brut rather than extra brut, you can do that. But if you go above 6 grams, you cannot call it extra brut, right? So it doesn't like. But I think that you can overlap on the extra on the brut side. And then beyond that, then it gets to different levels of sweetness. And I mean, I oftentimes for me brut is too sweet. So I generally prefer to go extra brut, or like if I see some like demi-sec or something like that, like it's like I just know I'm not gonna like it. I don't even like it for mimosas, like. And when I put my orange juice in a mimosa, I have it on the side, like So brut nature is 0 dosage, right? So brut nature is the formal term.
Wait, before we jump into this,
I
just want to say for those that are just listening, what we're looking on screen is we've got a good chart Joe's going to go through really quick on the sweetness levels and the terminology here. So thanks.
Okay, so
jump into it. Sorry about that.
Bone dry, brut nature, 0 dosage typically. That is less than 3 grams per liter. Then you go to extra brut. We talked about that. 6 grams or less. Brut, 12 grams or less. Extra dry. This is where it gets like fucking confusing, dude. It's like this is what always drove me crazy.
That's what drove me crazy too, because you would think, I don't know, and I'm glad we get to go through this, because as a consumer, right, you would say, okay, brut, and then I would think extra dry would actually be drier.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So they made it kind of confusing, but I don't know. Maybe in France they didn't know what extra dry meant in English. I don't know.
So sure, you're blaming France.
Extra dry is going to be between 12 and 17 grams per liter. Dry is going to be 17 to 32. Again, confusing. Demi-sec, meaning like partly sweet, is very. This is 32 to 50 grams.
Yeah,
dude, that's a lot of sugar.
Now that is a lot.
That is a lot. That's a lot of sugar.
And there's even a higher level. I like that rundown though, and that's great because we decided to talk about sparkling. It tends to be very popular for the holidays too. I mean,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
like
with the
year
holidays
round.
right here, yeah. I mean, it's like nothing starts off a good like gathering, whether it's friends or family or whatever. Even Christmas morning. I can't remember the last Christmas morning I did not have champagne in my hand. Honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, in my adult life, I mean, even when I was like a kid, I was like, that was. Your parents were like, no, have a little nip of champagne.
Oh
like,
yeah.
As you're opening your present, you're like, fuck yeah.
Let's throw our parents under the bus, man. They were kidding us. Wait a second. It started. You know, like no, but I was also thinking the games. You know, that come. I actually remember. You know, like when the parents would get together, stuff like that as kids. I remember they would. Your dad would like shake the bottle. And we'd pop that cork off, and we'd be out in the yard. And whoever catches the cork, it was something like
I still do that.
You win.
I still do
and
that with like
and
my
you
kids.
Passed on that.
Oh yeah, and it was like
game.
you got like a $5 bill.
Yeah,
it was like 3 flies you're up, but it's one champagne cork flying through the air. You catch that champagne cork, you get $5, and you're the king for the day. Like,
yeah, totally.
It is fun. You don't need. Hold on, I gotta clarify this. Don't shake the bottle, like Chris said. You don't shake the bottle of champagne. You only shake the bottle if you got, your thumb on the top and you're spraying it.
Dude, I shake it.
You just fucking blow it up all over the place?
I shake it. Dude, what do you get? Dude.
All you got to do is take the cage off.
Don't I look at
turn it a little bit?
Have you seen my mustache? Have you seen my beanie? Does it look like I'm someone that doesn't shake it?
Use your thumb, push it, and then pop, it goes. And it'll launch like 50 feet. Yeah.
What do you mean? You see people shaking it all the time, man. When they're winning their F1 race, they shaking it.
Yeah, no shit, Chris. What are they? They're professional drivers. They're not there to drink it. They're there to spray it on everybody. I got some fun party tricks though with champagne corks.
Well, that's what I was gonna say.
So,
okay, so can you any that you can share, or are they?
One good challenge is: can you open a bottle of champagne with your butt crack? Yeah.
Is this okay? Is it? Wait, you've done this.
I have done this.
You have done this.
Yeah. I did it on the wine train.
Do we have? Can you bring up a video?
No,
we don't actually.
No, nobody needs to do that. I was clothed, for the record.
He was clothed.
I was clothed. Yeah.
Yeah, but it is a true story, and it's talent. I mean, that's some talent.
But I've actually seen it be done before.
Were you working out? Do you need the strength in the glutes? Is there clinching involved?
Yes, definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have strong glutes, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Are you bragging?
I'm built
is this your way to brag?
I'm built like a gorilla, dude. I can't change that.
Could you do that right now? Oh, I forgot. You're not wearing pants right now.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You could do very much. Okay, that's a game in all the classy events.
You remember like the fancy drink in college?
Oh.
Thug's Passion.
Oh yeah.
1 part Alizé, 1 part Cristal. We weren't drinking Cristal though.
No.
Alizé is like a flavored cognac, and it's super sweet. So it's like a boosted up mimosa is what it was. We were mixing like Cokes with it.
Yeah, that was. Oh, there it is. Yeah. We got it on screen.
Give me some of that Thug Passion.
It's Thug
baby.
Passion. But hey.
Yeah, so it's Thug's Passion.
Yeah.
And
that was a drink.
Wait, scroll down just a little bit because this is the opening line to Tupac's Thug's Passion. All right, new drink. 1 part Alizé, 1 part Cristal. Thug's Passion, baby. And then he says, guaranteed to get the wet and the hard.
Can I say that you said that last part from memorization? For the people that are watching it, they brought it up on screen, but you do that lie because I felt like you said that.
That's his thing, man. That was like
I remember that. No, I remember that.
Like,
we were drinking.
He's basically promoting the shit out of Alizé and Cristal as the Viagra of like 1997.
Did it work? Yes.
Dude, I was like 19. I don't think I needed any help, anyways.
I'm just saying to get the word out. I wasn't saying for.
You know what? Hey, we got the Christmas party tonight. Let's break out some Thug's Passion.
Okay. Yeah.
Get everybody just. Oh man. Okay. Yeah. So.
Do you have?
But I did want to talk about our next rendition of sparkling.
Yes.
And this
please.
will just be brief, but
no.
Because we're gonna continue doing little things like this, pet knot, and like the fun stuff like that. But we are going to be releasing our first Belle Glos sparkling. It'll be a rosé and of Pinot Noir, obviously, and a Blanc de Blanc, and they're going to be 0 dosage. So Brut Nature, just super super clean. I mean, we're probably 6 months or more out from actually releasing. We've been working on it for quite a while though. So it's in tirage, it's aging in bottle, and I'm looking forward to it. It's just like it's going to be a ton of fun.
Hell
We're going to
yeah.
have something that's like a real contender for the higher end sparklings that are out there. So we learned a lot through the process of all this shit here, but you know, all of that comes to fruition at some point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that. You've always been big on, you know, just going and playing and experimenting and having fun, and then you get to the.
And then finally
Big
something
urban-
hits, and you're like,
yeah.
yeah. And people might hate this stuff. I mean, it's not going to be a mainstream style.
Yeah.
Like a mainstream style would be like, we would sweeten it up, but like.
Just in closing, is there any top favorites that you have sparkling?
Yeah, actually, I would say my go-to mainstream high-end. It's hard to describe that because like it's a very special wine, but
Yeah.
it is accessible. It's just not cheap.
Yeah.
It's from Taittinger, as we call it in the
Yep.
States, but they're
I like
Taittinger
Yeah.
is how they pronounce it. Like, you know, if you're a
Taittinger.
call me Sami, you'll be correcting people all the time. Excuse me, it's Taittinger.
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 So
Is it kind of just like saying it really fast, just really low,
and just
kind of
forgetting
like,
some of the
like
letters in
mumble?
there. That's,
Taittinger.
it's like
But then you repeat the same
The
thing, and then I correct you.
the French language was the first to mumble rap.
Oh, shoot.
So okay,
Canceled again.
okay. So Taittinger Comps to Champagne
Mhm.
is what it's called. The bottling is Comps
Yeah.
to Champagne. They make a
Mhm.
rosé and a I think it's a Blanc de Blanc, but it's the Blanc de Blanc is fucking.
I think
awesome.
Art's trying to bring it up on screen.
There it
right
is.
now.
That is like
Yeah.
that is a
Oh,
go-to.
yeah.
That is like that always delivers. It is not zero dosage, but it is a beautiful wine. You know, best wine I ever had. I think it was like a 1954 that was still in tirage, still in the cellar. Never
Oh.
been touched. It had like fucking inch of dust on it, and so just like, you know, post-war, we were in Champagne, sabered off. You know, sabering is like, you know, when you use it like a sword and
Yeah.
pops the top off with the cork and the glass, whatever else. Because this cork, this is before they used like bottle caps,
Yeah.
crown caps. So this cork was just like you'd touch it and it'd fall apart, right? It's been sitting in the cellar for
Yeah.
60 years or whatever. So we sabered it and drank it, and like, you know, I always try to tell people like, don't get caught up in the romance. Like, I'm in the vineyard where this shit was made 60 years prior, and I'm overlooking. It's beautiful. It's like fall time in Champagne, and walking out of the cellar, saber the bottle over the vineyard, and then pour glasses, and it was like I was caught in the romance.
Yeah.
But I can also decipher between like decent and amazing. That wine was amazing. So, like, just still held together completely, still had all the pressure you wanted. And anyways, I could just wax on poetically about it, but I don't want to bore the audience out there. No, so
That's also cool because it was a story that includes an efficiency of sabering, which I really like.
Yeah.
Like, people sometimes maybe
They
thought
do
that that's
that
like
for
a
showmanship.
showy,
Yeah.
just to saber off that. But
yeah.
that time it was efficient and probably showy, and it seems like it got you in a poetic mood. So
Yeah, I guess so.
it brought romance into your life.
But if I were to say a go-to sparkling here that is more accessibly
Yes.
priced, right?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
my recommendation, I love for a rosé, I love the Schramsberg rosé.
Oh,
They
yeah,
do
Schramsberg,
their Brut
solid.
rosé is just solid every time they put it out, and so I'd go there, and then I've also got to say I'll go back to Domaine Carneros, which I think is like still some sort of partnership with Taittinger.
Yeah.
They do a great job. So their Le Rêve is one of the more amazing domestic sparklings that I've had here. So Le Rêve means the dream, and it's really a well-made sparkling. I mean, there's a lot of great options out here, but those are just like two off the top of my head that I'd go with that you could probably find pretty easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another shout out to Schramsberg too is a good place to visit. I love their story, and
Best tour.
we were just
in
talking about the
valley.
Master Riddler there that you can
Yeah.
check out. So yeah, for sure.
Best tour
So
in
if
the
you're in
valley.
Napa Valley, check that out.
Yeah, that'd be if you're coming to Napa, schedule Schramsberg before you schedule anything else.
Yeah,
if you
for
can get on
sure.
that tour,
Oh, yeah.
it is. They got great people running it. It is such a cool, like those caves up there. Like the shit's like been around. Like one of the first wineries here. It's like
Yeah.
Those caves were dug by like the Chinese immigrants that were like building the railroads, dude. Like that. I mean, there's some, you could call it bad history, but nonetheless, it's our history.
I mean, that history is,
and that history,
even with Behringer.
And it's captured. I mean, it's like,
and they also and survive fires too.
And it's family owned, family operated. They're a good family, the Davies family. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
well,
always support that shit. That's what I'd say. Yeah.
I love that you got into some poetry. I love that we talked about great sparkling. Hey, do you think we should do some horrible bosses or what?
Let's jump into horrible bosses.
Just a reminder, horrible.bosses@coppercane.com. We have this little segment at the end of our podcast where we read your stories of your horrible boss experiences, and Joe weighs in on them. From his experience, I could just see that he looked at me all wide-eyed.
I'm worried that this was somebody in our company.
Yeah, but we don't. You're not. No, we don't know. I said that I don't know.
Okay.
But yes, they're anonymous too. So if you send those in,
all right. This is a short
just
one
for the story.
We're already going well over time here. But all right. So I'm gonna jump into the short one. All right. Here we go.
Yeah.
This is the fun opportunity to criticize people. Okay. My boss and I seemed to be friends until the day he kissed me. That's just straight to the point.
Boom.
It's like, really? Do I get to know if this was a guy or a girl?
Keep reading.
Okay.
Easy.
I then instantly found another job and was out of there. He followed me and proceeded to show up at my new job, randomly leaving gifts and candy whenever he would, quote, visit. I transferred to another location and told everyone to tell him I had quit. Months later, my new boss told me about a missed connection that sounded like me.
Missed connection is that part on Craigslist? Have you heard of it?
No, I don't.
I'll explain.
Okay. I warned her not to answer, but she did anyway. It was him, and he proceeded to stalk her, trying to find out about me for the next few months. So this is creepy, though. This is like. It is.
And so I was just gonna say, so missed connections.
On
Tell Craigslist, and there's some people that know. There's some people that may not know. But it's just a section on Craigslist where people are not just only trying to find someone to buy their couch or trying to find someone to date, but missed connections is like someone that you saw, like say you could be in a store and you're like, hey, I was in the store the other day. You were wearing a red hat. It was Lucky's on, give the address where you were at what time. I thought you were really, we shared a look, and I thought you were interested. If you ever read this, you can contact me. It's a missed connection. So that's
but hold on. So the you can post that.
Yep.
But that is just like
you're just
the person
throwing it out.
Randomly has to find that missed connection.
Yeah, but it happens.
Jesus.
That's the crazy part about it. Also, though, it's like you can throw out a missed connection and someone could find it. Are they that person?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a weird game. But anyways, so I was just going to give a little.
Okay, so he just tossed something out there,
that.
and one of the coworkers saw that this like matched up and was like, "Oh, somebody's looking for you on missed connections."
Mm-hmm.
Dude, that's fucked up. That's so desperate. That's like murder material.
We should have saved this one for Halloween, man.
Yeah, God, but it's like
you
think about that. You're like, you're capable of going to that extent. Like your level of infatuation is, if I can't have you, nobody can have you.
I mean, that goes beyond, like you're saying. I think the red flags are already popping up, right? That
Dude,
we're thinking this is beyond just like, I don't know if you tell me, but if you could give advice on how being a good boss or give advice on how to get a restraining order, because like this is what's needed for that. This is like, and I feel, my heart goes out to the person that had to go through that, because that's like
they fucking moved away.
Yeah,
like they got. I mean, that's so you're changing your lifestyle because you're so creeped out by some person. Like, and that's messed up. But dude. And to be as bold, especially if you're a boss, dude, there are lawsuits all over this.
Yeah.
There are lawsuits and court filings all throughout this fucking 3-sentence story. Yeah. Like, and my recommendation as the employee is go get a lawyer. And
that's your
because it's not just like, at some point this boss is going to forget about this person and he's still going to be doing the same shit. So last piece of advice on this is don't be creepy. Don't be a fucking sex offender. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
This boss right here is, if he's not already a sex offender, he's on his way.
And from the get-go, like, take action, find support, and get on that. So
yeah,
you try to prevent that.
Well,
yourself.
That's a really positive ending note. I just wanted to say thank you for joining.
That's
Go
how
with your palate.
That's what we live about.
We hope to see you next time, where we'll talk about death, destruction, and other atrocities.
Welcome to Go With Your Palate. We talk about the darkness, the terrible, and the horrible. Man.
Thanks for joining in, everybody. We'll catch you next time.
Please come back.
Please.
All right. Peace.